Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How y'all doing? You ready for our Tuesday jam? All right, just watching everybody come in. Come on in, y'all. Where are you? Aha, there's Haida. Here we go. Here come my girls. I like it when people come in. I don't like being all by myself. Trisha, Fawn, good to see you. Gabriella, Anne. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. Vicky, nice to see you. Sherry, hi. Well, here we all are. It's Tuesday. What do you think? Tuesday, Tuesday, Tuesday. I'm so good. I'm so glad to see everybody. Let's see, what did I have? What did I have to tell you about? I'm missing well, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I can't find my list. I have a list with all my things on it, and guess what's missing? My list to tell you who won the book. So I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll let you know. But we're going to be putting it out tomorrow. I'm going to the post office. So whoever is the winner, chicken dinner, is going to get this book. You know how it works, right? You share it. Yeah, that's how it works. 37 people. Come on, we can do better than this. Come on, you ladies, let's get in here. Giddy up. Vicky, Sherry, look at everybody. Here we come. New comments. There's Roberta. Good to see everyone. Fawn, you've lost 3 pounds since yesterday. I saw that post. I was just like, wow, who are you? You guys are crazy, aren't you? I love it. Good to see you too, Diane. Hello. You've highlighted your book like crazy. There's a lot of good stuff in here. You know, you can go through this book, honestly, go all through it. It's got all the carbs and everything in it. So you can go through here and pick and choose stuff that's going to work for you as you're hot melt dieting, or if you're in the sprint still even. I mean, I even made a suggestion that you use the garlic lime chicken recipe, which is one of our big recipes everybody loves, that you use the garlic lime chicken recipe during the sprint. How fantastic is that? And tonight I'm making a fantastic, I've got pounds of ground beef out. I'm making my keto meatloaf, and I'm going to be sharing that recipe. Just, you know, these are things that you can use for your protein, and it makes it feel like, you know, you just feel really good about it. You feel healthy, wealthy, and wise. And, you know, the thing that I think we need to all look at is, you know, when we're doing kind of an assessment of how the week went, because here it is, you know, postpartum 2 days. And if we look at our assessment and we just take a look at what happened and remember how good we felt, that's going to keep us on the road that we want to go on. You know, not that it's going to be perfect. It's not. It's never perfect. You know, there's no such thing as perfect. It's a little bit of a cha-cha, you know, it's a dance, and we 2 steps forward, and sometimes we take 1 back, or even a few more, and then we have to stop again and assess. And how critically important is that? And aren't you glad that we have those thinking tools at our disposal? Because that's what happens when we go from being, you know, pitiful to powerful. We no longer think of ourselves as victims. We no longer think of ourselves as like we're just sitting there and everything's just coming at us, you know, like, you know, we're sitting in a carnival on one of those chairs and we're just about to go crashing into the water. Life's not like that. Life is not like that if you choose to not sit in the chair. The way it works is that as you take responsibility for yourself and you start making assessments and making decisions to go forward in your power, things start to change. I mean, like really change. Marla calls it flipping the switch. You know, we want to flip that switch, right? We want that flip to switch, that we want to flip the switch, and we want the switch to stay on. So that's what I want to talk about today, because I want to talk about how we can keep that change happening and not get discouraged if anything goes wrong, because I promise you, you will have a slip up if you're a human, but it doesn't have to be the end of the day. And it's a matter of how you assess it what you do with it, and how you move forward. So I think that's really important stuff, because, anybody can go on a diet and lose a bunch of weight. But the point is, if you've noticed, most of the world doesn't keep it off. They put it back on. So you can be elated and high as a kite and thinking that the world is your oyster. And then all of a sudden, here comes 1 pound, here comes 3, here comes 4. That didn't work. Well, the point is, it did work. You just stopped working it. That's the difference between responsibility for yourself and taking that responsibility for yourself and then just, handing it over to a diet, a guru, a whatever. Because when we can stay the course and own it and have the responsibility for it ourselves and make it our own and adjust accordingly, then that's when it becomes a lifestyle change. Those are the people that you see in your life that keep the weight off. Those are the people in your life that are doing something different. They've quit smoking. They've stopped, whatever it is, bad habit that they had. Life becomes different, and it changes and it shifts the more responsibility you take for yourself. But like I said, it is a cha-cha. So one of the things, I want to just share this again with you from yesterday. I never dreamed of success. I worked for it. That's an Estee Lauder quote, and you know about Estee Lauder, right? I mean, she was an absolute maverick of her time. She had this incredible empire, and she worked her tail off to get the success that she got. We have to work our tails off too. It's not just the simplicity of, oh, that was easy now, whatever. It's never like that, right? We can have a simple plan. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's a simple plan. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. There will be a time where you will be challenged. And if you're ready for that, and if you can accept, oh, it's going to come, and you have some strategies on how to work it, then you don't have to be that victim anymore. We all have a tendency, like when something is over, to just go celebrate and do something that's in our old pattern of doing things. Go have a glass of wine or 2. I did that last night, by the way. And and this morning I thought, why did I do that? I thought, well, I hadn't had any wine in 7 days. Well, guess what? I could probably live without wine for a month or more or whatever. Because I woke up this morning and I didn't feel that great. My weight stayed the same, but everything else was fine. So I look at that, and I look at that old pattern. And that's not that I can't enjoy wine ever again. I can always enjoy wine. You know that. I mean, I love wine. But I'm also on a mission to clear the decks. I'm also on a mission to get the rest of this weight off. I'm also on a mission to make changes so that I never have to do this again. I want my light switch to stay in the on position. I like that better. I want those size 6 jeans that I showed you to be back on my body instead of the 10s that I barely get on. I want the 6s. You want the 6s. You don't want to be like pushing yourself into things, and it's not the size, people. It's honestly not the size, because I mean, if you weighed 400 pounds, if you weighed 300, 200, whatever it is that you weigh, all you know is you don't feel good. You have to take medications that you don't want to take. You have issues that your doctor tells you about, or you have pain. That's all you have to know. You have your own list of things. Just know your list and know that you want better than that. That's it. And is it a size? Not necessarily. Is it a number? Not necessarily. It's the elimination of what you had that you don't want anymore. That's all. And then later you can start having a vision for yourself of what that looks like. Okay, does that make sense? Throw me some love if that makes sense. Here we go. Tracy said, I gave into a craving and had some French bread. Now my joints are feeling it. No more giving in. And this is exactly what it is. Here it is. no more giving in. That's why I would like to change the word diet to just a way of eating, hot meal way of diet, just a thought. Yeah, well, we called it the hot meal diet simply because, I think diet gets too much of a crappy, everything is a diet, by the way. We have just manipulated culturally what a diet is. We've put diet into the box of reducing type of a thing, into the whole Weight Watcher thing. And honestly, it is the hot meal diet. It is somewhat of a diet. The keto is a diet. All of these things are diets. It's our association with them that's wrong, and that we have like this, thing about diets. Well, honestly, if you ate Pringles and Skittles all day long, that's a diet. They're all diets. Anything that we eat is a diet. It's our cultural reference to it. And, and yeah, you can push back on it if you want, but that's the name of it right now. And I'm keeping it for whatever it's worth. But it is a way of eating, and it is a way of life, and it is a way of doing things. And there's always a correction that's going to be in it. We are actively human, and we're actively always going to be needing some kind of a correction. And just because this worked today doesn't mean it's going to work tomorrow. And that's why I'm going to say to you over and over again, until I am blue in the face, that having your own inner nutritional guru trained to understand what's going on with your body and nobody else's, no comparisons. Not only is it a thief of joy, comparison is, but it's also puts you into a place of absolutely forfeiting any power in your life, because now you're looking at somebody else's results, some other guru, some other cookbook, some other whatever, and you're not looking at what's going on with you. Someone wrote an email, which I thought was so interesting. And they said, I really like this way of eating, but I really want to add in X. And I wrote it back and I said, sure, add it in. If it works for you, great. It wasn't some kind of evil type of food, but she wanted to get some carbs back in. She wrote me back 3 weeks later and said, it just doesn't work for me. And I said, well, now you know. And so when you know something, then you can start building from that. So the sprint gives us that foundational knowledge, right? It gives us that foundational knowledge because you know what the sprint is about. The sprint is about everything anti-inflammatory. The sprint is all about simplicity, and the sprint is about clearing the decks. So now you can start adding things in and seeing how you do with it. I've had some people in the Hot Melt Diet group, they're asking me questions. So, what about cheese? And I'm talking about the difference between good cheese and supermarket cheese. Good cheese is the stuff that is a little more expensive. They say it's been aged for 120 days and this, that, and the other thing. And I like hard cheeses like a Parmesan or something, as opposed to going with, all the stuff that's just like the slices of whatever. And by the way, American cheese is not cheese. Let's just, it's just manufactured goo is what it is. Orange goo, flattened out to look like cheese, but it's not. So read your ingredients, look at stuff like that and see if this works for you, because there's a chance it's not going to work for you. There's a chance that dairy is going to cause you to have aches and pains. There's a chance that you're going to see, now that you've cleared the decks, that this works for you and that doesn't. And it makes you sad, Okay, it makes you sad. And you can play with that little fire for a little bit and see if you don't start a raging inferno. Or you can pull back at any time and say, that's just not going to work for me. It's like Marla with the salt shaker. I love that because she recognized that she had, just out of habit, was going boom, boom, boom on her food. And when you eat out in restaurants all the time, and she and Robert eat out for dinner most every night, going in that the restaurant is already going to be adding more salt than you would in the food you cook at home. You already know that. So backing away from the salt shaker is brilliant, of course. And that's made a big difference. So understand that. You have to understand what am I operating with? What's the grand scheme here? What does it look like? What is my daily thing look like? I'm on the go all the time, so I need something that it's always going to work. You know, I told you about the if-then paper. I made my daughter do this all the time when she was growing up. We did it with a kid, you know, as a kind of a truth or consequences chart with the kids when they were little. But basically, you do it and you just write down, if I did this, what's going to happen? What is the worst thing that could happen? If I ate cheese, am I going to have inflammation? Is my skin going to break out? Am I going to get back to having all these aches and pains again? Am I going to start the weight gain thing again? Because inflammation very often can just look like weight gain when inflammation, on the other hand, is just inflammation, and it's not weight. It's just like this you know, great big blow up of water weight. We had somebody in the sprint group who lost 25 pounds, and it was edema. A lot of it was edema, and she just lost it. She shredded it, right? And you know, you look at this and you go, 7 days, 25 pounds. How is that even possible? Well, it can happen. If you're blown up and you take out the inflammatory stuff that's causing that, and you put in stuff that is going to take it away, your body could react just that fast, or it might take longer. You know, again, we don't compare, because comparison is what leads us down a path of just feeling inadequate, unworthy, less than, and we just give up. So comparison needs to be, you know, the only time you ever want to do any kind of comparison is when you're shopping. Do a price comparison. You know, find out, hey, is that almond milk going to be cheaper at Costco versus buying it on Amazon? You know, that's my comparison. When I start doing it with people, I start feeling very much less than. I start feeling bad about myself. I start thinking, I'll never be able to fill in the blank. And the whole cycle starts in your head. If we can handle the stuff that's between our ears, we're going to be able to put into motion all those changes that we really, truly want to make. And, you know, we don't want it to go doing it again and again and again. I mean, why? Why would we want that? Why do we want that? And, you know, the carousel, I think at the you know, fair or amusement park is such a good analogy, because look at what it does. It goes around and around and around, and you get on that horse and it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down. That's exactly how it is when you're on this carousel of crazy for the garbage carnage. I mean, we talked about that in detail. You know, you get stuck in your thoughts, and then finally it's just like too much. You trigger and you eat it, the one thing, and you enjoy it for just that amount of time, just that amount, and then it's over. And then there's this cavalcade, cascading emotions of just like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. I hate this. Why do I do that? Beating yourself up, blah, 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 blah. And then you start rationalizing, well, it was just this once, or you put the rationalization before, however it is that it gets you there. And then you conveniently forget. Have you noticed that? We conveniently forget. That's how we can gain 50 pounds in a year, or 10 pounds a year for the next 10 years. We forget. We just kind of dismiss it and we go on to the next thing. And the next thing you know, it's just like, wow, I am now into the next 10-pound stage of my life, and what's going on here? That's the thing that we have to keep looking at. And so I wrote out some things that I think, you know, just off the top of my head, that I hope will help you as you're considering all these changes. Because the sprint, and I will tell you right now, I will always bring you back to, we get to do the sprint again, you know? The sprint isn't a one-time thing. We get to do it again. We get to keep clearing the decks. And I want you to look at the sprint as like, oh, this is when I'm good, and the rest of the time is when I'm bad, you know? What we need to do is keep correcting and experimenting and finding out about ourselves. And keeping a journal is super helpful on this, because then we're going to know that we're going to know exactly what it is that we need to be doing so that we're not going to go down that horrible slippery slope again, and quit playing with that same 4 pounds till it becomes 10, until it goes into the next 4 pounds, until it becomes 10 and goes into it's just terrible. Have you ever seen a cat where they think they've done you a really big favor? They go out, they catch a bird, and they bring a dead bird to the doorstop, and then they're playing with the dead bird, and they think, they think that they've brought you this wonderful gift. We're almost like that, except it's not a dead bird, but we keep playing with something that should be dead and gone. We keep playing with something that we really need to pick up and get rid of. It's proven itself time and time again. It's given you the evidence of a bad decision. So don't dismiss that. And I will say there's a huge thing, there's a big difference in taking responsibility for yourself and beating yourself up. I don't want anybody ever to beat themselves up, but I do want you to take the lesson to heart. I want you to take the lesson to heart and to do something with it, and not let it become, well, I did this and, beat myself, but I'm not going to beat myself up. Well, okay, don't beat yourself up, but learn from it. I'm not going to let you off the hook. I am not going to let you off the hook, because letting you off the hook is just pretending it never really happened in the first place, isn't it? You don't have to beat yourself up, but you do need to take responsibility. You don't have to beat yourself up, but you do need to go in there and make an evaluation and figure out, why did this happen? How can I prevent this? What were the circumstances that set me up for this failure? What was my mindset? What was my environment? Who were the people I was around? Have you noticed that you have people that you just pig out with? Marla and I were like that. I remember when we were down in Charlotte. She was down for a visit. This is a long time ago. I wrote about it in Body Clutter, as a matter of fact. And we were in the Lane Bryant store, and I'd finally just said, I need some clothes that fit. So I got some clothes that fit, and a bra, and the whole 9 yards. And afterwards we went out and we had dinner. We went to a pasta place and we ordered everything. I'm telling you, we ordered everything. We had appetizers, we had wine, we had bread on the table, and then we ordered garlic bread. We had salads, and then pastas. Like, we had 4 different pastas on the table so we could all try them all. This was after we had just gone to the Lane Bryant store to buy clothes, right? At that point, we weren't at all dealing with our body clutter. We were just, but it was an aha moment for me, and I write about it. That's why I wrote about it in Body Clutter. Is I wrote about just, feeling good about yourself with where you were and wherever you are at this point. But there was no connection of those dots yet, hence the going out and pigging out thing. We've done it a bunch. It's been one of the things. Shifting that has been a new thing, but we're both in different places in our lives, and we've both made this pact, if you will. This is the last time. This yo-yo business, this up and down, this carousel. The carousel is the best one, better than a yo-yo, because on carousel you keep doing a circle and you're going up and down at the same time. I like the carousel. It's the carousel of carnage. Oh boy, it is crazy. It's insane, and we don't have to do that. So I'm going to give you 10 things that I wrote down off the top of my head that I probably talked about some of them, but this will help you. It's an inside job, changing your mind. It's an inside job. Marla talked again about the light switch, and I loved it. The little switch that Robert made, wasn't that fantastic? And it makes the little click sound. We can have a light switch anytime we want to use it and make it click and go off. This is why I'm telling you to go watch Fed Up and to go watch The Magic Pill, these documentaries where you can really understand what the food industry is trying to do and how you can completely change and take back your power with your eating and with your food, and make the changes that need to be made. Those documentaries are super fuel, and they're food for thought over and over and over again, and it will anger you. And if you can harness that anger and redirect it into the right things, that's powerful. And that's where we get our power. We get our power from doing. Power, we don't sit around to wait until to feel powerful. We do something and then the power comes. Have you noticed that? It requires action. Have you ever seen a powerful runner out there or a powerful athlete? They didn't get like that because they just sat around waiting for the power to come. They got out there because they practiced. They got out there and they were on the Olympics team in the first place because of their dedication. We need that same dedication. Our brains, we need to start retraining our brain to rethink the former things that we were doing that didn't work. We have to rethink it. We have to unplug the crazy and plug in to the right stuff. And that includes knowing our own inner nutritional gurus that you will get to know really well if you're tuned in. You will get to know them. And as a matter of fact, you'll stop asking me, is this okay? Because you already know. You'll already know because your inner nutritional guru is going to trump anything that I say. And you know what I'm going to say? I am going to celebrate with you. I'm going to high five you and say, way to go, sister. Way to go. That's what you want. So it's an inside job. And there's a lot that goes on in that inside job because, again, we over and over and over evaluate, over analyze. We just need to clear the decks and just say, okay, what was that? What just happened here? And then do a chart, do an if-then chart. If I feel like eating bread, I'm going to tell the waiter to take that stuff off the table. If I see somebody eating something at home, I'm going to go ask them to eat it in another room, or I'm going to remove myself from that room and go somewhere else. We have options. We are not trees. We are not stuck. We have options. So keep that in mind. And we have to make those honest evaluations. Let's call it for what it is. Let's be really honest. That is not a beating up at all. It's an honest evaluation. When I drive by all those, I see those fast food places and it just makes me want to stop there. Take a different route. I double dog dare you. Just take a different route. You don't have to drive down that street. Drive down a parallel street. Turn off and go somewhere else. If it's a temptation and you want it out of your life, get it out of your vision. Get it out of your periphery. When we see the things that we want in our lives, and that doesn't mean we have a vision board of bikini models. We're not bikini models, for heaven's sakes. We have a vision board of what we want that's better than what we have, right? That means the inflammation's gone, the pain's gone. We can go on rides at amusement parks. We're not asking for seatbelt extenders on airplanes. All these things. We're not sticking a needle in our belly doing insulin shots. These are all things that we want. We're not bikini models. We're not. We're real women with real lives, with real jobs, with real families. And we want to be 100% there for them. Healthy, wise, able. This is how we get there. And then we need to look at our routines. What are we doing with our routines? Marla taught me in 2001 when I got the whole thing about routine, my world completely changed. My work life, at the time I was a freelance writer, my home life, I was homeschooling my kids. I lived in an old farmhouse that didn't have a dishwasher and barely had any water pressure. We had an old well that was on its way out. I worked with what I had. I didn't complain about it. I just worked with what I had. It meant that I had to, I took a plastic tub. This was Marla's idea. I took a plastic tub and I found made a shelf underneath my sink. And under my sink, I had a little curtain that I had made. I remember it was blue and white check gingham. So cute. Little curtain. And that's where I put all my dirty dishes rather than just stack them up everywhere because I didn't want to look at them. I didn't have a dishwasher. And in that old house, I wasn't going to get a dishwasher, barely making the mortgage. So instead of having that mess, that's what I did. So I adjusted, made it happen. And my habit then was I did my dishes for every meal. And when, snack dishes and whatever things came in, they went in that tub and it went underneath the sink. I'm not like that anymore. I mean, I now have a dishwasher and everything goes in there and I'm very grateful for it. But I have those habits that I have formed and are in my routines, in the morning routine and in the evening routine. And so much so that I call them rituals because they're so important. They are the bookends of my life. But I've added things to them because I want to make sure that I'm getting the things done that I want. And in it, I do a 4-minute workout when my dishwasher has been emptied. Right after my dishwasher is emptied, and hopefully right before my coffee has gone off, it beep, 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 letting me know it's there and ready. But guess what? If it goes off and it's ready, I do not give myself a cup of coffee until that 4-minute workout is done. That is now a part of my routine. So when you have your routines, I want you to look at what habit can you already stack in there and start that's going to continue this kind of a thing. When you're making lunch, making your little ACV cocktail or whatever, you can do that too. But you can add those things in. Start looking for places where you can slip those things in. Same with your evening routine. Setting yourself up for success in the morning. It's wonderful. And the other thing is, my biggest one though, is to stay accountable. How many of you here, and give me some hearts if you are one of them, really were blown away and so appreciative of the community that we built inside the Sprint and are now doing right now inside the Hot Melt Diet group? How many of you are loving it? Throw me some hearts. How many of you did it make a difference? I will tell you right now, some of you haven't told me, but I will tell you what I read. And what I read was, if it wasn't for this group, I wouldn't have done this. If it wasn't for this group, I would have quit. If it wasn't for this group, if it wasn't for those women, if it wasn't for the encouragement, and on it went. This is why community is so crucial. You know someone has your back. And you know that at any time that if you're feeling kind of weak, you can just run on down, get into the Sprint group, type in a little like, something's calling to me. I mean, I remember sugar's calling to me. Well, let's flip that on its side. And we keep talking about these things on getting rid of like what we think we're thinking and how we are reevaluating. And then somebody says, I'm here for you. I feel the same way. What is that? That's the coffee clutch of our generation. That is the ultimate support that anybody could ever ask for. And our group is spectacularly special. There you go, spectacularly special. The other thing is that you need to do, and the other thing I will say to you, have you guys ever heard of an Irish goodbye? An Irish goodbye is when you have somebody who is at a party. I do it all the time, by the way, because believe it or not, I am an introvert because I recharge by being alone. That's what introverts are. I seem maybe extroverted. I can do a lot of extroverted kind of things. But, at the same time, this is how I get my energy back. So if I'm at a big party and it starts to get to be too much, I'll just sneak out the back door and I'll just say to Mark, let's go. I'm done. I won't say goodbye to the host. I won't say goodbye to anybody. It's called an Irish goodbye. Don't Irish goodbye anybody in our group. Can we just make a pinky pact right now not to do that? Are you guys with me on that? Give me a thumbs up. The reason I'm saying that is we don't want anybody left behind. And an Irish goodbye is fine for when you're overwhelmed at a party, but you never have to be overwhelmed in our group, ever. And when you Irish goodbye something, then you go off and you're on your own with your own bad thoughts. And, here we go again on the carousel of crazy. Around and around you go, up and down you go. And how painful is that to live with? And then you'll come back. And I've seen this over and over again because I've had groups on Facebook forever. Hey, I've been missing in action. I'm sorry. I went off the rails. I've gained 10 pounds and I feel awful. I'm back here for real this time. We do that. But if we make a little pact that we're not going to do that, no Irish goodbyes, that we feel bad or whatever, you can tell us, somebody's going to be there to pick you right back up because we all have each other's backs. That's how this thing works. That's why we have this community. So no Irish goodbyes. And then you need to remove the triggers. And that doesn't mean that your pantry isn't going to have some of the stuff in there that maybe you don't want. But it does mean that you're going to figure out a way to keep it out of your peripheral. You just have to figure that part out. Does it mean locking it up? Does it mean putting it in another place? Does it mean having a discussion with your husband? Does it mean trying, you can't push everybody into the sprint. It's like Marla said, your husband's not the one who signed up for Fly Lady, you did. So when people write her in questions about how do I get my husband to fill in the blank, that is a bad thing. And it's the bad thing for us too. How do you get your husband to do this? We sit down with your husband and you just say, this is my conviction. I'm worried that we're not going to make it to the next 20 years when we start having grandchildren. I'm worried about us because we're both overweight. Our blood tests are getting kind of scary here. And you need to have that kind of heart to heart. It's not you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to do this. That's never going to work. Has that ever worked for you? When somebody sits there and points their finger at you and tells you what to do, don't you just say like, God, get out of my face, go away. I have one thing to say to you. Even if they're as right as can be, you have no interest in listening to that. But what you do have an interest in is if somebody comes to you and says, I am worried about you. I'm concerned. I love you. I don't want you gone. You're my partner in life. Are we going to make it? Or are we just going to be the unhealthy examples? I always say, I don't want to be the poster child of unhealthy. I want to be the poster child of wow, that's 60. That's what 61 looks like. I want to be like her. And not because I'm not a bikini model, but I'm healthy, or that I took care of that weight. I'm not on the carousel of crazy anymore. I am doing it and staying the course. That's what I want. And that's what you need to put out there. That's how you get rid of those triggers, get rid of them. And then you need to reward the good behavior, for heaven's sakes. A good behavior, when I think about my good behavior, lost 7 pounds. That's my good behavior. I got rewarded for that. I got the 7-pound reward and all those inches, whatever they were. I forgot. That was my reward. But now my next reward, is it a glass of wine, really? Or 2? I had a nice rosé last night. I enjoyed it, but it didn't enjoy me back. I didn't feel really great bouncing out of bed in the morning. I wasn't walking around awash in wine last night, but 2 glasses of wine was definitely enough. So what can I do for a reward instead? How about going out and getting that pedicure? How about going out and just saying, I got a thing in the mail from Belk. Yeah. 20% off coupon. Maybe I'll go shopping. Maybe I'll go get myself a pair of jeans or something. Maybe I'll go see what it is. Or maybe I'll go shopping in my closet and find something that fits nicely. That'll work, right? So those are the things that you can do that make all the difference in the world. Look at all you guys. You guys are just going crazy here. Barbara says, the Halloween candy doesn't haunt me because I have safer, better choices in my own food basket and still choose not to eat it, but having it helps me know I'm not excluded from the fun. Okay, I'm going to break this down for you because what she's saying here is one thing for one person, for Barbara alone, okay? But that might not work for you. I will tell you right now, excluded from the fun to me, what would exclude me from the fun is if there were Kit Kat bars in there, because I'd be all over those Kit Kats like white on rice. I love Kit Kats. Love me a good Kit Kat. Or if there were peanut M&Ms. I always say, go ahead and get the Halloween candy, But get the Halloween candy you don't like. If it was full of butternut butterfingers in there, wouldn't touch them. Those little nasty sweet tarts and gummy things, I wouldn't touch it. I have my Halloween candy of choice. You have to know yourself. Can you have that stuff in your house? If it's a trigger, then no. If anything sweet or candy, whatever, then no, then don't do it, or put it somewhere, or ask somebody, here, keep this, hey honey, keep this in your car, lock it up, or whatever you have to do, if you have to do Halloween, because Halloween, traditionally from Halloween until New Year's, people can gain an average of 15 pounds. And it starts with the Halloween candy, and it's just a slide from there. 15 pounds. I don't know about you. I worked too hard on that sprint to want to go back and to have to start over. And invariably, there will be people who do, because they're going to go off the rails and reward themselves with stuff they shouldn't be rewarding themselves with. And I want you to start thinking of the reward itself as what you have accomplished, what you worked for. You are Estee Lauder. You worked for it. You worked for it. You're going to give it away now? It's like giving away your paycheck. Don't do that. Find something else that's a non-food thing. Find something else that's fun for you. Catherine said, John got new clothes. Wow. Whatever you hate. What do you hate? That's your Halloween candy, guys. That's your Halloween candy. There you go. Pencils and bubbles are great treats. Everything, whatever it is that you need to put in that Halloween basket. Decorate for Halloween. Enjoy it. Have fun. If it's a holiday you like, yay. But don't put the things in there that you know are triggers. Known triggers. Don't do it. And if you've already bought them, then figure that out. We had somebody in the sprint group, I don't know if you remember, she'd bought a bunch of stuff. Do you remember that? She'd bought a bunch of stuff, and she had a bunch of stuff that she was going to take on her trip. It was a bunch of candy and snacks and this, that, and she goes, I'm taking it down to the bar. I'm going to go take it to the bar where I work. She was a bartender, and give it to all the people. Well, then she comes up the next day and she says, well, it didn't make it there. Those are the things that happen. And Marla and I, is so funny, had an exact same conversation, that when we know something is wrong and bad and is an absolute trigger and is just pretty much 100% we can count on it taking us down there, we just need to get rid of it. It doesn't even need to go to a food bank. It needs to go into the trash. It needs to go into the trash or the compost or whatever, but it needs to get out of there. And once you see the Fed Up documentary, which I think you can get just about anywhere now, and probably even on YouTube, it's going to blow your socks off of what the food industry is doing to you, to me, and to everybody that we love. And how insidious they are, those little snakes, trying to get into us and ruin our lives so they can make a buck off of us. And then Big Pharma's right there behind them, giving you all the drugs, so you're on 18 different drugs to keep those, symptoms down, so they can keep you around for a little bit longer. So you keep buying their garbagey food, keep having more symptoms, need another drug, keep suppressing those symptoms, never really deal with it, never get you healed from it. It's just a vicious, ugly cycle. So go watch The Magic Pill and you can see this. You'll see exactly what it is. You can see what people are eating. And, some of you are going to look at it and go, wow, that was me. I did that. It's all about making those changes. And now you know better, to quote Maya Angelou, you can do better. And I'm going to hold you to it because you're here. And I know that that's the thing that is going to push you and put you into the place of feeling better about yourself. And that is the place that's going to make that this is the last time. No more up and down. No more carousel of crazy. You are going to flip that switch and it's going to stay on. I need to get off. I've been here for a long time. So reward your good behavior. Journal. Write out your intentions. Write out your affirmations, your I am statements of who you are and why you are so incredibly, wonderfully made. The Bible tells us this very, very distinctly. You are unique and wonderfully made in God's own image, here for a purpose. And that's why you're still here. That's why you're still here. Keep that in mind, and that knowing that there is a purpose out there and there is something for you to do. You're not done yet. Don't forget. Don't ever, ever forget. 9/11 happened, and I saw all over my feed, I saw the vision of the buildings burning. I heard one thing that haunted me that I shouldn't have listened to, all these phone calls of people saying, I love you. It doesn't look like it doesn't look good in this airplane or in this building or whatever. And it just, we all know where we were. And while this is, not exactly the same comparison, let's do compare this one thing, that we will never forget where we are in the place in our lives. We don't want our building to come tumbling down like that. And when you are out of control and you can't control what's going on in your life because the food has got you and all those medications and you're in that carousel of crazy, your buildings come tumbling down. And I want that for you. So don't ever forget what you started with, okay? And know that you have this opportunity from this sprint place of never having to go there again. You don't have to do it again. Visualize yourself as powerful. Stand in your power. Feel what it feels like to be in control at last, because you are. And I hope you join us for the next thing, for the melt, the hot melt diet. We're going there, girls. We're going there tomorrow. If you are in the hot melt diet, I am going to be doing a coaching call at 2:00. I will be doing a teaching on fasting. There's a lot of fascinating science that goes with it. Something that we never talked about in the sprint, but it's the concept of autophagy. And autophagy is when you are basically clearing out the metabolic clutter that is basically holding you back. And we'll talk about how you can trigger that in your own body, because it's pretty fascinating stuff. So we'll be going through all of this stuff, and I've been on for long enough. It's time for me to go. Hopefully Marla's going to be back. I didn't talk to her. We texted briefly this morning, and she was getting ready to hit the road. So she should be back for tea time. I will check with her. Hope to see you over there. I appreciate all of you. And if you have questions, I'm always available to help you out. All you have to do is just pop me an email, support@savingdinner.com. That's Q&A for Friday, by the way. Q&A is on Friday. Don't forget. Tomorrow I'll announce the book for real this time. And just remember, when you're thinking about this, your actions are what are going to separate you from your results, or else they're going to join you to your results. Think about that. Think about that. Does what you're doing support the life that you're trying to create? Is what you're eating going to support the life that you're trying to create? Think about that. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope that was something that you found value in. And if there's anything I can do, again, send those questions in, support@savingdinner.com. Put a question for Leanne. I'll answer it on Friday. Enjoyed it. Take care, guys.